Monster Factory is my favourite game for practicing body parts with beginners and intermediates. Not only is it hilarious, but it's really effective for learning. I'm Will from Enchanted ESL, and in this video I'll explain what Monster Factory is, how to play, and what things you can do to make it shine in your classroom. I can't remember exactly how I came up with Monster Factory. Most likely it was when planning for a class with a group of kids, and it was about body parts and I wanted to make it more exciting. And like all good teachers, I went online and I found some games and resources for inspiration, and then I combined them to make my own creation. The aim of the game is for everybody to draw a randomly created monster. Most of the time students will be listening and drawing what they hear, but they will take turns to come up with instructions to give to the rest of the class. You can play Monster Factory with any group size, and it's best with beginners and lower intermediates. In person it works better, but you can play it online as well, and later I'll show you how to do that. You don't need any special equipment, just something students can draw with and some cut up bits of paper. I like to use these dry erase pockets with a piece of paper inside that students can use like a whiteboard. They can draw their monster on and then erase it later. Now let's find out how to play by heading to the board. First, a bit of setup. We need lots of slips of paper which we can write on. There are two things we're going to write: body parts and numbers. The body parts you choose will depend on the vocabulary you're targeting. With beginners, this should be things like nose, hand, foot, etc. But for a higher level of difficulty, you can add an ankle, chin, eyebrow, and so on. The only body parts you should not write are head, arm, and leg. You can do one of each body part or have repeats. It doesn't really matter as long as you don't have lots of one body part and very few of the others. Fold the slips so the word isn't visible and put them in a pile. Next we have the numbers. Write numbers between 1 and 6 with a higher frequency of lower numbers. So I'd write 1 1 1 1, 2 2 2 2, 3 3 3, 4 4 4, 5 5 6 6. This isn't an exact science though, so do what you want. There is an option to use a die instead of bits of paper, which can work, but you'll end up with more higher numbers, which makes the monsters harder to draw, but it can make them more fun. Again, fold the slips and put them in a separate pile to the body parts. Get this done before the class, or if you have time, get your students to make the paper slips with you. Now we can begin the game. Choose a student to be the monster designer. This student will give instructions to the rest of the class, telling them what to draw. First, they should start by saying, "The monster has a big body," or a small body, or a thin body. The monster designer can choose this. Everybody should draw the torso of the monster. Next, they should take one of the number slips for the head. They get 1. The monster designer should now say, "The monster has 1 head." Do the same for arms and legs. We got 2 arms and 5 legs. This is the first phase done, and you should do this for all monsters. The reason is they all need a head and some limbs for the later body parts like eyes and hands to have something to attach to. Now things get really random. The monster designer now takes one of the body part slips and a number slip. They construct a sentence with what they draw. In this case, the monster has 4 mouths. And like before, everybody has to draw it on their monster. Let the monster designer add 4 or 5 more body parts and then stop. As you can see, the monsters quickly get crazy. Sometimes clarification might be required. Like here, if the game designer says the monster has 2 feet, they can choose whether that means 2 feet in total or 2 feet on each leg. When you've finished, students can share their pictures and laugh at the wild creations. Think you could use Monster Factory in your classroom? If so, hit the like button and support the channel. Thanks. Monster Factory is very silly, but it does a great job of practicing body parts and certain grammar phrases. In the explanation, the monster designer used sentences with have. For example, the monster has 4 mouths. But you can modify this to target a different structure. For example, imperatives. Draw 4 mouths on the monster. Or frame it like a story in the past using the past simple. The monster had 4 mouths. Or you could make it like a plan to create a new monster. The monster will have 4 mouths. From my experience, each monster takes about 10 minutes to create. That means if you have a large class, not everybody is going to have a turn being the monster designer. To give everybody a chance to speak, instead of having one monster designer that says all of the instructions, get them to take turns saying one instruction each. Another thing, avoid turning this into a points-based game or an art competition. Just praise students for following the instructions. even if their drawing doesn't have much artistic quality. If you're playing online, the easiest thing to do is make the paper slips yourself and then show them to your students on camera. Alternatively, create a document where you have all of the body parts assigned to a certain number. Then you can use a random number generator to choose which body part they have to draw. And of course you can use another random number generator to say how many of that part they need to draw. Another option is to go on a website where you can make a spin the wheel. You just add in the body parts, click a button, and it chooses one randomly for you. And of course you don't have to limit the game to body parts. You could add in clothes, accessories, sports equipment. There's a whole manner of things you could add to this game. But if you don't have time to prepare all of the paper slips, or you want to practice a different kind of language, try Say and Draw. It's a similar game, but it's less random, and it gets students speaking fluently. It may be my favourite speaking and listening game, and I made a video on how to play it, which is right here, so go check it out. But for now, I've been Will from Enchanted ESL, wishing you all the joy and success in your teaching. See ya!